Well, that happened, and I think that's just the best way to put it. Welcome in to Blues Central post game here, presented by Drink Thunder. Fuel your fire with Drink Thunder, the all-natural pre-workout that hits different. Plant-based, fruit-powered, zero sugar, sweetened naturally with monk fruit. Each serving is packed with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants to ignite your energy and push your performance to the next level. Choose your flavor: orange mango, blackberry lemonade, or strawberry cream. And feel the rush the natural way. Order now at drinkthunder.com. Drink Thunder, pure power, no crash, all natural. Well, I think the biggest thing already, we love that everyone is in this quick. That's exactly what we want to see. And I think tonight, Thomas, I got on and say, I just don't know what to say about this game. I don't know the feelings. I'm going to say this. I'm looking at the chat right now. First of all, Aaron Dodson, I'm not going to agree or disagree. Yes, pathetic performance to start tonight. Good bounce back. A lot of things happened, and I'm not gonna sell these guys short. That being said, and I think the biggest talking point about this tonight is going to be Joel Hofer and his performance in net tonight and the issues. But I'm just going to start this off now, and I'm just going to put this out there because I know this is always the topic of conversation when teams do have bad starts, when teams have really bad games. What is the scapegoat? Coaching staff. Just going to start this out now and say it. In no way is this the coaching staff's fault at all. This is not Montgomery's fault. This is not Steve Ott's fault. This is no one's fault on the coaching staff. That first period was purely on the players. That's why it was bad.
And I think it's funny we've got a double dichotomy of blow the team up in chat, and then we've also got they'll make the playoffs in chat. So I think Blues fans are very much split down the middle of the aisle in terms of whether or not it's time to worry yet. But I don't know, dude. Like I think we were talking in the Blues Central chat about like when is a good time to worry, and I think I said about like 20 games into the season, because you're like a quarter of the way through the season. It's probably a good time to worry about where your team's at. I mean, there's a lot of teams struggling right now, and the Blues just happen to be one of them. You get a tough slate against these Central Division opponents. Unfortunately, all of them happen to be at home, and all of them happen to be, slugfests. I mean, you start the season off with a loss to the Minnesota Wild, 5-0, I think, and then Chicago Blackhawks 8-3 win against the Dallas Stars. But then the Utah Mammoth come in riding 5-2, just beating the Colorado Avalanche in overtime, I believe, was their last game. And they come into town. Clayton Keller does his thing against his hometown team. And next thing you know, you're sitting at 500 and your backup goaltender, you can't start in any games because his save percentage is 500 too. So yeah, there's a lot of question marks about this team right now. Offense certainly being one of them. What happened to Robert Thomas? Where is he? He's kind of been a ghost. He's a leader of this team, whether he's got the C on his chest or not. I know he's got an A, but in terms of point production, like this team goes, absolutely as he does. And we saw that, in viable form last season, where he was one of, if not the best skater, best forward in the NHL post Four Nations. So for him to be as quiet as he has, like obviously he's had the passes here and there, but I mean, tonight he's walking in alone against the goalie and just throws it straight into his chest. It's like, dude, pick a corner or like stop forcing passes. It's like, we kind of always have these same conversations about Robert Thomas. It's like, shoot the puck more. Like, we know you have scoring capability, but when you're walking in all alone in a, goal scoring opportunity and in a quality angle close to the net, and you're staring down a pass the whole way, it's like somebody's got to pull the trigger on this team. And there's too many guys that feel like they want to be bystanders or, don't want to take the team under their wing. And nobody's stepping up right now. Although tonight, the guy who stepped up, in my opinion, best performance of the night for me, outside of Jordan Bennington, because I mean, you just throw that dude in any situation, he's nails. And I think if he started this game, we'd probably be looking at a little bit different of a result. But my God, Matthew Joseph, dude, just every game so far this season, he's been dynamite. Just like Ivan Barbashev-esque, like in on the forecheck, like flying into the crease, like doing all of the gross, gritty things that like nobody on any hockey team wants to do. And he's like, you know what, I'm going to do it. That's how I got my spot on this team. I'm a grinder, like the physicality, everything that we're essentially looking for in that third line winger position. Matthew Joseph has been for me this season. So fantastic performance tonight from him. But outside of that, dude, like just too many bystanders, I think. And like I said, we're in a scenario now where I don't know when you start Hofer again, but it's probably not soon because whether he's got the yips or whether he's just, he's just not.
These are weird, man.
He's a liability when you put him in net, and you can't, like, when you're trying to turn this team around and the narrative around this team around, because obviously, as Chat's talking about, like, there's plenty of fans that aren't happy, especially given the expectations for this team, riding off of, the 1.6 seconds and all that happened in the playoffs last year. Like, you got to start building in the right direction a lot sooner than you did last season. And it looks like they're trending in the opposite direction right now.
Yeah. And the problem is right now is when you have a top line who has just been, I mean, not even just the top line, the top three lines have been practically non-existent, unfortunately. And really, in terms of who's making an impact, it's been just the fourth line. I mean, you look at how the performance of Sundqvist and Walker tonight, and obviously Matthew Joseph as well, just phenomenal. Broberg stepping up when he needed to. Walker was incredible getting that goal and getting in there. Obviously, Pius Suter, he's making a good step up. I feel like he's making an impact. Finally got that first goal today. So that was definitely a highlight. But, a lot of things were always the question of, is there, I mean, I don't even know what is the solution right now? Because I feel like right now it's at a point where you look at this team where the only outlier right now, in my personal opinion, has been, or the two outliers have been Hofer and then sadly the mistakes by Mailloux so far. He was -7 going into tonight. I'd gladly pull up the stats here from the game here tonight. They haven't updated him yet in the full team stats, but you look at tonight and how they perform. Obviously, that it looked like Mailloux again just had a rough game, especially to start. And I hate to be that guy that keeps beating the dead horse of Mailloux's really struggling. And in that sense, he did. -2, had only 10:51, the least out of the defenders tonight in terms of total ice time. 16 shifts, also the least. And the only other stat in there was one hit. Didn't have a block shot, didn't have a shot, didn't have any goals whatsoever. I mean, all he had was a hit, and that was it. And I mean, it's getting to a point. I think we'll talk about Hofer here. And yes, eggplant emoji. This is a Montana Grizzlies hat. Go Grizz, love them. But I just want to love that little pin in there. It's a little tag there. And it gets to a point where I texted one of my buddies today. It's like, is it to a point where they're just refusing to accept that Mailloux needs to have developmental time in the AHL, maybe because he's so young and he's looked so rough? You need to give him time because now he's a -9 with nothing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me. Like I talked about this with Mike too. It's tough because obviously you want Mailloux to come in and immediately light the world on fire, like we're watching Zachary Bolduc do in Montreal. I think we kind of all knew that even last season that Bolduc was a stud, and Mailloux's kind of more of a wild card. And when you're talking about a right-handed defenseman, it's like, those guys aren't coming around a dime a dozen, and it's tougher for them to develop, like much tougher than a winger whose job is really to just put the puck in the back of the net and then figure out your game along the trenches and in between here and there, and make sure you don't get lost on defense, but like put the puck in the back of the net kind of thing. So for Mayu, it's just like rounding out his game. And I think there's not many coaches in the NHL that he could be under that would put him in a better scenario than playing for Jim Montgomery. But even Jim Montgomery and Doug Armstrong has also said like it's a long-term play for a guy like that to get him on a cost-friendly contract that gets you a positive ROI in the long run, like that we're seeing with Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas, with all of these forwards just signing these lucrative contracts. Like those are looking pretty good. So that's what you kind of want on the back end, especially with guys like Philip Broberg, who's already going to hit a payday here coming up soon. And I think the problem with blaming Mayu is there's too many problems on this team right now for me to be like, oh yeah, if we just swapped Kessel in for Mayu, like we probably win this game. Like I don't think that changes the result. And I think like Jimmy Snuggerud has been struggling. Obviously, Robert Thomas, like we talked about, hasn't been playing at the level that we know that he's capable of, at least from what we saw last year. Nick Bjugstad, 9:51 minutes of time on ice tonight. So, and Justin Falk had another cough up at the blue line that almost resulted in the puck going back into the back of the net again. So, I don't think it's fair to just single out, the new addition to the team on the back end and be like, oh, this guy sucks because he's not good yet. Like, I think it's going to take him time to figure it out. And I think, obviously getting acclimated to life in St. Louis when he's coming from Montreal is probably kind of a shakeup for him too. But, I think the glaring one right now is Joel Hofer. And I still don't want to scapegoat him because some of those goals also weren't his fault. Like that one timer, like he's just wide open in the slot. So like the Blues have to play better defense too. So I think it's an entire, like, we can sit here and give you guys the cliche answers that you're probably going to hear in the next 5 to 10 minutes and from the locker room. And, we got to do better and we're going to learn from this. And it's a long season and we got to get a good practice in. And, guys got to hold each other accountable. And it's really on the leadership. And, we have a good leadership crew here. It's not just one guy, it's a group. And we all, take pride in holding each other accountable. So I'm not worried about it. And we're just going to flush this game and move on to the next one. Like, we've all heard it a million times, but I think right now with the way that Joel Hofer is performing, I don't think the result of this game is his fault, because obviously like the Blues have played on nights where Jordan Binnington hasn't been great either. Right. And you still got to find a way to scratch and claw your way to a victory, like regardless of what like chips are thrown your way. That being said, I don't think you can start Joel Hofer right now, and I'd be shocked if we find anybody in the Blues community that feels differently.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing right now is the comment you have pulled out. You have the coach and good supplemented pieces. Your stars not making the cut, and you need to shake these chumps up. And another one here: Thomas, Kyrou, Booch, and the rest of the top line to step up. No accountability, and that is, I think, the differentiating factor between everyone, the Blues and every other team right now, is that for some odd reason, they're not playing up to what everyone else knows they do. I'm not saying they're not trying, but they sure as hell ain't looking like it. I mean, it just seems like everything is off with them, and that they don't have any extra fire, and that they're making a mistake, so it just pulls them out, and then it looks like they're giving up halfway through the second. And it's almost like they just can't forget the mistakes, and that just lets them ruin it throughout the rest of the game. And again, it was another, majority of the game, especially in the first period, I'm going, hey, what are we doing? Like, and most of that was with the first line. Apologize for that. sister's
Dog's
cat.
not happy either, dude. I don't blame him.
Yeah, no, my sister's
Out.
not very happy about it. Not very happy about it. Tell you that much.
I see some comments in the chat talking about Colton Ellis. I think that is timely because Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen got called back up to the Buffalo Sabres today. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of happens there if they, send Colton Ellis down and hope that the Blues just, that Doug Armstrong is just asleep or something and that he, clears waivers, or if they end up trading Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen and just roll with Alex Lyons and Colton Ellis as their 1 and 2. I know a lot of Buffalo Sabres fans have been clamoring for that to happen. So we'll be keeping an eye on that, especially with the play of Joel Hofer here recently. But a lot of these comments just popping off about the accountability and some of these top players just putting the team on the back. And this one, should Thomas be worried about the 2026 Olympics at this point in time? I would say yes. I mean, look, the roster for Canada is loaded, right? Like, each year, like, you could really have a span of like 20 to 25 players who, if they're inserted into that roster, you wouldn't even like sneeze at because you're like, oh yeah, that guy's a stud. Or either that guy's like a bona fide stud historically, or like you can look at their recent play and be like, oh yeah, he's like over a point per game. I think he deserves to play in the Olympics, So for Robert Thomas to, play on the Olympic team, which we know is a goal of his because he's been vocal about it, even going back to last season. Like, I think it's an upward battle for him, but it's a good goal to set and a good challenge for himself. But you got to hold that. You got to hold that in your head every game, right? And I think the play, the level of play that we're seeing from him right now is not conducive with one that is going to end up on that team, and that's unfortunate. But it's just the nature of the beast when Team Canada is such a juggernaut year in and year out.
Well, I'll tell you what, I do like this comment here. Aaron Dotson pitching once again. Monty needs to skate this team until they puke tomorrow. I certainly agree with that, to say the least. But what won't make you puke is home bank. This Blues Central Postgame is brought to you by our business banking partners at Home Bank. From business lending to everyday banking, Home Bank has been with us since day one as a trusted partner. Business isn't just about numbers, it's about relationships. And with Home Bank, those relationships make all the difference. Home Bank is the team behind our team at STL Sports Central. Visit myhomebank.bank or call 855-577-2001. Home Bank, member FDIC, more than a bank. They're your business partner. Well, there's a lot of things we can point at. But I think the one thing we can at least write off on, the one positive, is how you respond after one of the worst first periods in easily the last 10 years. At least one of the first periods that I was conscious and watching Blues hockey for, to say the least. So just about 10 years that I've been watching, and responding with a pretty good second period. I wouldn't say dominant. We've seen better periods, I think, already this season. But it wasn't a bad second considering what happened in that first. It was a good response, I think. Unfortunately, wasn't able to keep the momentum going. You get that Keller goal, like always. Clayton Keller always just has to score against the hometown team. But outside of that, I thought they had a good second period, and being able to respond and then do the same, at least for some of the third, I'm going to take that as at least one positive. I'm not saying that this is going to turn the whole game around here, but I'm certainly not going to change the opinion of everyone. I'm just saying it's at least a positive we can take. And yes, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. It's not, by all means, it's not going to, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, we should just look at this. I mean, look at the rest of the game. Obviously, that's what we've been talking about this whole post game so far. But in the little bits, in the minor things, you gotta take some of the positives. And the one positive outside of the fourth line doing well was
they fought in the second instead of waiting until the third.
Yeah, and a little bit in the third. That being
Baby
said,
steps, right?
Yeah.
We can't get them to show up for the puck drop.
No.
But we can get them to show up in the second period now.
For
so
10
maybe
minutes, yeah.
law of averages, next game, then we'll see a full 60. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I think that is a positive to take away, right? It's like last game we were like, oh, I think they ended up, clawing their way back in it, but they didn't even play, they didn't win a period until the third period. And they lost in overtime, and Jordan Binnington kind of willed that team to even overtime to even get a point. So by the grace of God, they still came out of that with a point. If you don't decide to play for the first 40 minutes of the game, 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose. Sorry. That's just the nature of the beast in the NHL. And so now, in this game, you played 40 minutes, right? But you're going up against the Utah Mammoth, who were 5-2. The studs up and down the line. I mean, we talked about it on the last post game, but the offensive power on this team, from Cooley to Gunther to Clayton Keller, who consistently has our number, which is infuriating, but also sick because, he's a Chesterfield boy. So I can't even be mad when he scores on us, because I'm sure he's just
at this point, I think we can.
He's playing in his backyard, shooting pucks against the garage door.
Yeah, but it's been 6 years now.
Except he's just on the other side of it,
He's been in the NHL.
He's probably driven 270 a million times in his life, and now when he drives it to the rink, he's like, "Oh, I'm home."
Yeah, that was nice for the first 3, maybe 4 years at that. Now it's just
annoying.
Tired. Yeah, it's getting tired a little bit.
I will always root for his success, except against the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah, and that's when the only time he has great success.
No, he's still a stud, but
I'm just saying he has success, but he has even better success.
He has it in bunches against the Blues.
Yeah. So he'll put up 1-2 goals a game, then all of a sudden he'll just explode for a 4-point night against us.
Yeah, but and then you've got Sergachev on the back end too. So this Utah team is nothing to sneeze at. And I know someone in chat earlier was talking about how they have 5 players that were picked in the top 10. And I know the broadcast was talking about that too. Yeah. Listen, guys, if you want to sway this to the Utah Mammoth should be a better team because, they're fresh off of relocation and they've got a bunch of guys that are 21 and 22 years old that are, are extremely talented and top 10 talents, even though the Blues have 30-year-olds and 10-year veterans on their squad that should probably know how to play the game of hockey a little bit better than a guy that's fresh out of a frat house. But look, I don't know. If you want to spin it in a positive way as oh, the Blues have all these old guys and these young guys are just taking advantage of them. Poor Blues, be my guest. But I will not listen to that. This Blues team, by all accounts, should be a playoff contender. And I think everybody is under the impression that they should win around this year because they were so close to winning it last year. Turning on the Jets 8 weeks left in the season. So you will not convince me that this Blues team should not be competitive or should be less competitive than the Utah Mammoth. It's just these score lines just look so bad right now. And 8-3, 5-0, 7-4. You got to find some defense from somewhere, or you got to find a goaltender that can, stand between the pipes and stand tall every game. And I think, unfortunately, you've got one of those right now, and Jordan Binnington, one of the best in the league, top 10 goalies in the NHL. I'll probably take. I'll even put him top 5 just because I'm biased. But Joel Hofer, just coming back to it, I think you gotta, let him take some time, figure things out, find his mental space again. Because we by all accounts, we're kind of bashing him on this episode, and I feel bad because it's recency bias for sure. Because even going back to earlier this season, but really last season too, when Jim Montgomery talks about the Blues having one of the best goaltending tandems in the league, I believe him because I've watched it before. And I've seen games where Joel Hofer stands on his head and makes game-breaking saves similar to Jordan Binnington. And I like Joel Hofer. He's
Yeah.
Good guy. He's young. He's still developing too, right? Like there's a whole bunch of young guys on this team that are still developing and still figuring things out. So like there's going to be bumps and bruises along the way. Yeah, unfortunately, it's just a long-term play and a long burn. We just got to see what happens by the end of the season. But, through this season, there's going to be peaks and valleys. And unfortunately, right now, Joel Hofer is in one of those valleys. So we just got to, band together, breathe confidence into him. Hopefully the coaches are going to be doing that. I'm sure they're definitely going to be. We even saw Jim Montgomery kind of whispering in his ear after he pulled him, like, hey, you're still my guy. Like, I appreciate you. Like, don't let this get to you. Like, it's one bad game. Just flush it. Like, I mean, I think he had a struggling game last game too, but it's like, that's one of the things that separates some of the best players in the NHL from like, the middle tier is like, if you have a bad game, can you flush it? Or if you have a bad play, can you flush it and move on to the next one, And I think with Joel Hofer, at least from what I saw on the TV, like I'm honestly not in the room, but it looked like he was kind of struggling in that regard. So I'm hoping he turns it around and gets back to the form that we know.
Well, I can tell you this for sure, and this goes for the whole team. The good news is everyone on the team is a professional athlete. The bad news is, well, everyone's a professional athlete. So can you blame really anyone? Can you praise whatever it is? But you know what? Speaking of professional sports, it's coming up December 1st. You'll be able to bet on them here in the state of Missouri. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and use STL Sports. We got $300 in bonus bets, which is a $5 bet when we go live December 1st. That's code STL Sports in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Well, I will tell you one thing, Thomas. It'd be interesting to see the feeling of St. Louis sports come December 1st. Just because I feel like when just a little tangent here, talking about the ad was I feel like there's always a little bit of a switch up when all of a sudden there's a little bit more money involved. Obviously, there's still money. People are still betting on sports.
But there's a ton of money involved, apparently. My God.
There's because there's definitely no one betting on sports in St. Louis right now. But that being said, December 1st, when it comes, I think it will be very interesting to see how the state of Missouri as a whole reacts to
sport. I'm gonna love it, dude. I actually nailed some. I think it was like a 6-leg parlay on anytime touchdowns. But one of the legs was Darren Waller, and he got hurt at halftime, and he didn't come back. So DraftKings has this cute little thing called it's like exit strategy or injury exit kind of thing, where they just knock out that leg of the parlay. So I still hit it for like $300, which was awesome. So mad props to DraftKings, and $300 richer just from going over to a wedding and being like, oh yeah, I can bet because I'm across like state lines. So I just nailed it up, and next thing you know, $300 in my pocket. Awesome. Right over the river.
Yeah, there's that. Didn't even pay him to say that. So
exactly.
Put that out there. So DraftKings, get on that. I need to slip a 20 in Mr. Welch's pocket here. But I mean, again, when I bring up the fact, and I think I could kind of talk about earlier, is that obviously you mentioned the having top 5 picks and the difference in, I don't know if people are saying the difference of skill, the youth, or what it is. But I mean, in the aspect of all this, and this goes for everything, it's the same thing for baseball, same thing for football, same thing for basketball. Doesn't matter what you look at. I mean, every single player on that team is a professional athlete. So I think when you have games where people aren't playing like professional athletes think, how you think they would, that's when I guess, I can understand the panic this early in the season. And I think more understandably, you say, okay, now it's just a disappointment because you should be playing so much better just as expected, as normal than kind of how they are. And that's kind of how that first went. It's like, okay, now why we expected so much more out of that. Like, you're getting paid $8 million, Robert Thomas, and what have you done? I hate to just throw that one out there, but I mean, again, it's just one of those things where I think a lot of people felt that with, the Cardinals this year was these guys are, well-paid athletes, and they seem to just have such a talent difference when in the reality of it is they're professional athletes. So I think, maybe there is something that needs to be figured out. I don't know. That being said, again, we don't have the answers. Is it a retool? Is it a rebuild? Is it whatever?
Well, yeah, we do. Well, we do have the answers, but they might not. We have some of the answers, not all of the answers.
I tell you what, we might have some answers, but I sure as hell know that I definitely don't have any answers and say what can make this Blues team start winning and beating other professional athletes at the same exact game for 82 games a season. I don't know what to tell them. Really, I
think it's just consistency, right? Like, I think the reason that, I was popping up some of those comments here, and I think chat, as always, is doing a fantastic job of just relaying
Love you, chat.
all of the emotions.
You're the best.
Yeah. Are relaying all of the emotions that are going through Blues fans' heads, which is the Blues were our only hope in St. Louis for success in a sports team because everybody else sucked. Like, Cardinals had a bad season. They're rebuilding. Like, City couldn't find a win to save their life, and now they're making decisions without the sporting director in place. So it's just chaos over there. The Battlehawks, can't make it far in the playoffs. So it's like we're trying to hang our hat on the Blues, right? Like, okay, the Blues 1.6 seconds was a nightmare, but we get a full season with Jim Montgomery. Like, we know what this team is capable of now. Most of the team is going to be the same coming back next season. Like, they're going to come out guns blazing. They could push for a President's Trophy in a tough Central Division that'll make them ready for the playoffs, and then just spearhead their way through the playoffs, and make some serious noise. And from the start of this season so far, it has looked more like the beginning of the season, like January of last year version of the St. Louis Blues, like Jim Montgomery said, than anything close to the streaking playoff warriors that we saw take the Winnipeg Jets to Game 7. And I think the reason that Blues fans are panicking is because we watched almost an entire season of that team play hockey, and they couldn't string together more than 2 wins until like March. So if you're in the boat of serenity and meditation and yoga and all that nice stuff, and you can see the clear path to success for this team based off the short sample size that we have now, and you see, something that I'm not in the way that these guys are skating, shooting the puck, cycling pucks, playing defense, getting backup goaltending, like, by all accounts, like, more power to you. But everything that I'm watching right now is relaying to me that we're watching the January version of the St. Louis Blues last year that was struggling mightily. So how did they pull themselves out of that funk last time? Well, they had a break. They had a 4 nations break in play to where they could all kind of sit down, probably have some players-only meetings, but really sit down with Jim Montgomery because they had the time to and figure out and assess what the hell was going wrong. And they're not going to have that this season until like the Olympics. So
yeah,
wait until the Olympics to watch this team win some.
Yeah, good luck with that.
So let's figure it out now is all I got to say to that. And I think Jim Montgomery feels the exact same way. And that's why he's giving the sense in his press game and post game comments that he's panicking, but he's not really panicking. He just knows hey, I don't want to wait until the Olympic break to try to turn this thing around because that's what we had to do last time.
Well, it's going to be, they're going to need something to turn it around. And you can't have Monty breaking stuff all the time. That's what I would have to assume. Playing a little bit of hockey, I would think that after that first period, Monty probably came in, flipped the table, threw something against the wall, do something, because there's no way a team comes out with that much fire and not have a coach destroy something. But
if they're not careful, the problem is if they're not careful and they lose too many games, that's something that Doug Armstrong thinks is it's going to take. It's going to be a player gone.
Yeah.
Traded out. And he's not going to ask permission this time. They're just going to be gone and the team's going to be shell shocked. But that's kind of what happened with Craig Berube was like, okay, if you guys don't want to play, if he's lost the voice of the locker room, I'm just going to press the eject button. He's going to be gone. You're going to be wondering what happened and how could we let this Stanley Cup winning coach get fired. And, it's the player's fault and they should be feeling those things. Like, that's how you shake up a locker room. He's not hitting the eject button on Jim Montgomery because he went out to get him. Like, we know that. We know Doug Armstrong thinks very highly of Jim Montgomery. So he's going to be doing it with a player. What player, I'm not sure, but it's going to be one that will shock the team and kind of rock the boat because at least with the way that they're playing right now, it feels like that's what they need.
It certainly does. I mean, simple as that. I don't know. Like, I know that people are going to be probably – now that this is out there, I don't know if it's going to be something widespread, but I mean, it'd be awesome if we could start a rumor. That'd be pretty sick, in my opinion. But I know that some people are in the chat here. Someone throwing in it's going to be Shen. I don't know if it's going to be your captain because that would be like, oh my God, shocking. Like that would put the fear into everyone. That's the last thing you want. You don't want players playing in fear of, oh, I'm going to have to, I'm going to get traded or I'm going to get sent back down or this or that. Like you want your guys to be shaken up, but you don't want, you don't want guys on the ice that are thinking like, if I make a bad play, like that could be it for me.
Yeah, that's true. Like, it would be like white knuckling the sticks, and that's probably going to be more detrimental than it is positive.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's really tough to say. Because there's the people that the team believes in. There's people there's fans that want certain players to be traded. There's, a lot of depth guys that could maybe go that in some minds probably wouldn't hurt too much. But after say how the fourth line's been playing, I don't know if they want to move anyone like that. Defensively, I think that's probably what we're thinking is the defense, because there's a lot of talk about that just being fixed in general. So I feel like with how the defense has been performing, if that happens, if that's what it boils down to, they're probably getting rid of a defenseman. It's just a matter of who. And
I don't know if I could narrow it down to a position group. I don't think anybody would be safe, honestly. Like I think you just. And really, from a defensive standpoint, you could even make the argument that like the forwards are more of a problem defensively than the actual defense group is right now because of like the back checking and the cardio and, after a rush, like getting back on defense, obviously Mayhew's kind of struggling in his own end. And I think we haven't seen the version of Cam Fowler this season that we saw last year that ended up with more points on the season for the Blues than Colton Parayko. But I think you have the pieces in place on the back end to especially compared to some of the years past, no offense to any of those people that have come and gone, but I think this group is, and really the group that we saw towards the end of the year last season, and is in the group now. I think you've got the pieces in place to really make some noise, defensively from an offensive standpoint and from just holding it down in your own zone. But it's got to be from the forwards too. And I think, a guy from a defensive standpoint, like Pavel Buchnevich, he came in under the assumption that he was going to be that stalwart, two-way forward, penalty kill guy and a power play guy. Because that's what he was for the Rangers. And I think he's been that at times for the St. Louis Blues, and other times he hasn't been that guy. And, Robert Thomas kind of the same way. I think someone in the chat was talking about, does he have a problem, kind of hanging his head when things don't go his way? I don't know. I don't know if he has that problem, but if he does, sometimes that can affect your back checking. And, Jordan Kyrou, we've seen him get frustrated before. Obviously last season was a plus 21, I think, and got a Selke vote. So he's trending in the right direction. And I do actually think that Jordan Kyrou has been playing really well this season. So I hate to group him into this category, but like,
yeah,
everybody's under question, right? Like when you're not going out and playing the way that Matthew Joseph, which is crazy that I'm using him as the example. And that's probably, no offense to Matthew Joseph, that's probably why we're in the position that we're in, because I shouldn't be saying I need everyone on this team to be playing with the same level of intensity that Matthew Joseph is playing with, right?
yeah.
And I think that's where it all circles back to, is like, and like Jake Neighbor's kind of the same way. Like those guys shouldn't be leading the charge in terms of the guys that are playing with the most heart, playing with the most grit, playing with the most intensity. But they are like, those guys need to be your top end guys, the guys that are making the most money, the guys that are, being paid to pull other people into battle. And unfortunately, I think that's what this team is lacking right now.
Yeah. Before we get to, I will say this. I appreciate everyone pitching in a chat. Don't get me wrong. If we could sit here for hours just looking at the chat. Unfortunately, we're gonna start wrapping up here in just a bit. But again, we can't thank you guys enough. Win or lose, you guys fuel us every single post game. I mean, you're what keep us going for almost 2 hours during the postseason last year, and again, we could go for another 2 hours here with all you guys are pitching in. So I appreciate everyone jumping in here here on STL Sports Central Blue Central post game. And don't forget to check in at all of our socials, Instagram, X, online on the website, pretty much anywhere there's social media, we're on it. Go check us out. Go read our articles. Mike Meyer, I know for a fact, is going to have an article here coming out soon because he was at the game here today. So probably will be in a short while or tomorrow morning at some point. I wouldn't be surprised. Go check out Mike's amazing article. Go check out Bernie's stuff, all of our amazing stuff there. We'll have SLU post games coming up here soon, Mizzou basketball as well. Just a whole bunch of fun stuff. So again, thank you guys so much. You can't thank you guys enough. And for everything you guys have done for the channel as well. It's been huge. So I think as we start wrapping up here, before we get to our money moment of the game, I want to ask you, what's the prediction, I guess, of this upcoming? This is, in a way, their longest break they have for a little bit. They got 2 days before going up to Detroit, which is not that bad of a haul. So they probably have a little bit, maybe a day and a half ish to prepare with travel. Because then they go straight to Pittsburgh 2 days later, and then right back home, face Detroit on the 28th. So they get a little bit of a break. So what is, I guess, the prediction with, obviously now that the homestand's over, you're going on the road. What do they shake up? What do you think happens? Obviously, I think right now the biggest thing is, for a mental standpoint for Hofer, it's good for him not to start for probably 2 days, or for 2 games. I mean, and not just a mental thing.
Yeah, and I think the last time I checked, Detroit was losing tonight against the Islanders. I think they got clobbered pretty good. It was like 7-2 or something like that. So obviously, and it's on the road, so it's gonna be in Detroit's home barn. So obviously they're going to be fired up to bounce back and, try to put on a good performance in front of their fans. Like the Blues statistically haven't been able to so far this season. But that being said, the Blues are also currently, if I'm looking at this correctly, undefeated on the road this season. So maybe this is a perfect time. They got a win against Calgary and a win against Vancouver, and those are their.
I suppose they only have 2 games on the road.
Yeah. 4-2 and 5-2, and Hofer got one of those, and Bennington got the other one. So,
like
you said, I think Bennington's back between the pipes against Detroit. I think this is a get right game for the St. Louis Blues. Get a little bit of time to hang out with the boys on the plane, kind of, maybe assess what the hell's going on. Why are we playing like this? Maybe don't talk about it at all and just play some cards, hang out, like crack some jokes, all that stuff. So I think that camaraderie is, what helps bring teams together, and those memories on the plane. Not that I've ever been in that situation, but from what Oscar Sundquist has told us, and from what other guys have told us, like those memories on the plane, like they build up over the course of a season. And then once you get to a playoffs, it's like you've got a highly tuned unit built around all those inside jokes. So this will be an opportunity for them to build up on those and, hopefully take it to and spank around the Detroit Red Wings a little bit in honor of the age-old rivalry that kind of doesn't exist anymore with the St. Louis Blues. So
that's an old one. I wish they would have kept going. Unfortunately,
yeah, me too.
Went to the Eastern Conference. Now the Blues really only have one rival. I will argue though, maybe the one with the Sharks, if it was a little bit more competitive, maybe would have stuck around with the recent playoff series against each other. But
if we were better, the one with Colorado would be pretty heavy, especially with the Kroenke implications. Also, McKinnon, like I hate McKinnon, and it's not even because like I hated Patrick Kane because he just looked like a Disney villain. And like every time he scored, I just wanted to punch him in the face. I only hate Nathan McKinnon because he's stupid good at hockey. Like every time I watch him play against other teams, I'm like, God, he's so sick. Like this is awesome. And then when he plays against us, I'm like, I'm just gonna go jump off a cliff. Like
he's so good. I hate this guy.
Exactly.
Well, as we get close to wrapping up here, we are going to hop into our money moment of the game, brought to you by Home Bank, team behind our team here at STL Sports Central. Visit myhomebank.bank or call 855-577-2001. That's 855-577-2001 or at myhomebank.bank. I think I have mine, not really a moment, but I have my pick. So, Thomas, I think we'll start with you. What would be your money moment of the game here?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the moment where I felt like most convinced that the Blues were going to win this game. And it was when the puck dropped in the first period. No, I'm just kidding. It was
that's all right. Yeah.
It was actually when Philip Broberg scored that wraparound goal. It was so electric. And I think, Broberg has been kind of in that, the whole team has struggled this year. And I think Broberg has kind of fallen victim to that too. But when he turns on the Jets, it is something else. And when he's, playing the way that I think Jim Montgomery has made it known that he wants this team to play, which is, defensemen getting active into the offensive zone, getting in on the rush, getting in on the chances. I think Philip Broberg being active in those situations is when he plays his best. So seeing him just blow past on the outside, fly around the net, get the goalie to, cheat too far on the near post and then wrap it on the far post. It's just a thing of beauty to make the game 5-4 too, which lasted a good 4 minutes until Utah scored on the power play. But for those 4 minutes, I was feeling pretty good about the Blues' chances to at least push the game to overtime in a game that they probably had no business doing so.
Yeah, I think mine was going to be, I just wanted to highlight how the fourth line played tonight, especially Matthew Joseph, but I think I had to give it to the Nathan Walker goal and just how the fourth line developed that play, the beautiful pass by Sonny, and then just
disgusting,
absolute beauty, and just finding Walker wide open in the slot and slammed it home, which was just amazing to see.
Bad that didn't matter. Damn.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
We all know.
It was a sick moment, though. We did enough negativity talk for this podcast. We can talk a little bit about one cool thing that happened, right?
I'm not saying we get paid to say it, but we're going to still highlight the positives.
Give us that, Aaron. We can talk about one cool thing that happened if we're going to talk.
Come on, Aaron.
50 minutes about the negativity of the St. Louis Blues, right?
We can be a Debbie Downer while the game's going. After that, half Debbie. I don't know what the word is.
No positivity in losing. Okay.
Well, apparently Aaron's going to be out to get us for the rest of the season. But again, still, though, thanks for hopping in the chat. But yeah, no, I think just that goal was definitely my money moment of the game, I should say. It was a really good goal and at least some kind of positive to, get out of the game. But not a lot of positives, of course. Blues still lose 7-4 to the Utah Mammoth here tonight. So the Blues will be back in action on Saturday up in Detroit. That'll be 6 p.m. Central Time puck drop. We will have post game here about, I believe 8:30ish.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Somewhere in that range, give or take. And then obviously they'll be also on the road to take on Pittsburgh on the 27th. And of course, we'll be right there right after the game. So obviously,
the Red Wings,
yeah, go watch the game and then come enjoy or be mad, do whatever feelings you're feeling. Always make sure to come in to the Blue Central post game. Get it all out, no matter if it's happy, sad, disappointment, pissed off. Trust me, we all feel the same. We're still fans at the end of the day, just like you guys. So we always want to be here and listen and get a moment to chat with you guys about these games. That's what all this is all about. So once again,
it's a nice spot to vent either positive or negative, or something in between for everybody, right, Aaron? Even in a game as negative as this, you can pull a little positivity, or even in a game as positive as a completely flipped score line. There's always something that you can critique for the St. Louis Blues. So we're always going to swing on both sides, but we're always going to keep it 100 too. And it's tough to be positive in a 7-4 score line. So that's why you saw, a lot of negativity and critiquing tonight.
Trust me, Aaron, I love I need more fire. I will say, if this was a Sharks post game, things would be getting thrown and broken.
I also live in a condo, so I can't actually scream. Yeah. If I had my own house, which will probably end up happening here in the next year or so. You will be like, someone tell this kid to shut up. Is
other stipulations.
Yeah.
But again, thank you guys so much. Check out our other socials. Check us out online. Get our written stuff. Check out stuff from Bernie, for the rest of us, from Randy, everyone. And again, everything we do here on STL Sports Central would be nothing without you guys chopping it up with us pretty much here on chat, in the chat, and on everything you guys respond to, all the fun stuff. So I think that'll just about do it. Thomas, any parting words to wrap this one up here?
No, I'm just excited for the get right game from the St. Louis Blues against the Red Wings. Like Jacob said, we'll be running it on Saturday. So make sure you tune in for that post game to keep the momentum in this chat going. Positive or negative, doesn't matter. We will be here, and we hope you guys will be here too. And then, just follow us on all socials, STL Sports Central on YouTube. The subscribers keep going up every time that we stream, dude. And pretty soon here, we're going to be getting close to 20K, and that's going to be electric. So tell your friends to hop in here with the chat too. But it is so much fun just having this community to, like Jacob said, chop it up and talk shop after every single game. You never miss a single game. So the Blues could lose 25-0, and we'd be like, God, there's nothing more than I would like than to go to sleep and forget that this game ever happened. Guess when we will be? Right here, covering it with you guys.
And you will see that face every single night as well.
Yeah, and not shaved this year.
Well, we hope you enjoyed your bi-nightly therapy session with Doctors in session. We'll be back Saturday night. So thank you guys so much for joining us here. This has been Blue Central Post Game here on STL Sports Central. Go Blues.